What if everything you've been told about burning belly fat is wrong? Not exaggerated. Wrong. The weight loss industry needs you confused. Confused people buy things. Fat burner pills. Midnight cravings suppressants. Powders that promise to melt fat while you sleep. For $49.99 a bottle. Subscribe and save. Here's what they don't want you to know. Your body already runs a fat-burning system every single night. No pill. No powder. No subscription. It's been running since the day you were born, and it's been running in every human being who ever lived. It's called chronobiology, and it's not a theory. It's measurable. Growth hormone, melatonin, insulin sensitivity, real mechanisms tracked in real clinical studies, published in real journals. And underneath the science is something older. Something your grandmother could have told you without a single lab result. Eat right before bed. Sleep deep, wake up lighter. Ancient wisdom. Modern proof. Same conclusion. Today, I'm giving you 10 foods that work with your sleep cycle instead of against it. Foods that burn fat while you're unconscious. Number 3 does something almost no other food does. It floods your body with the exact hormone responsible for overnight fat burning. And most people are eating the wrong form of it. Completely wrong. Number 7 costs less than $1. One food. Under $1. And clinical data shows it can cut abdominal fat by double digits. If you eat it at the right time. Subscribe now. Every week, we connect cutting-edge sleep science with the foods your body was built to use. Let's get into it. Here are 10 foods that burn fat while you sleep. Ranked from remarkable to extraordinary. 1. Greek yogurt. The overnight metabolic anchor. Fermented dairy isn't new. It isn't a wellness trend from the last 5 years. Cultures across the Mediterranean and the Middle East were eating cultured milk thousands of years ago. Long before anyone knew why it worked. They just knew it kept them full. Kept them going. Generation after generation without a single study to explain it. Now we know why. It's a protein called casein. Slow. Deliberate. Unlike whey, which digests fast and disappears, casein coagulates in your stomach. It forms a clot, and that clot releases amino acids slowly, steadily, for up to 7 hours. 7 hours. That's almost your entire night of sleep. While you're unconscious, your body is either building muscle or breaking it down. There's no neutral. Casein tips that battle in your favor. It feeds muscle tissue through the longest stretch of time you'll go without eating all day. And muscle isn't just muscle. Muscle is metabolism. More muscle, more calories burned, even lying still, even asleep. There's more happening in that cup than protein. Greek yogurt carries a probiotic strain called Akkermansia mucinifila. Researchers have linked it directly to improved metabolic health and weight regulation. Not a maybe, a measured link. And the calcium does something most people have never heard of. It suppresses a hormone called calcitriol. Calcitriol's job, left unchecked, is to tell your body, store fat, hold on to it, don't let it go. Suppress calcitriol and you remove one of the signals working against you. Here's the number that should stop you. Clinical trials comparing high-dairy diets to low-calcium diets found something dramatic. Fat loss from the trunk, the belly, increased by up to 66% in the high-dairy group. 66%. From yogurt. So here's what you do. Plain. Unsweetened. Skip the flavored cups loaded with sugar. They'll spike your insulin right when you're trying to keep it flat. A small cup, about 150 grams, delivers 15 to 20 grams of protein. That's enough. That's the dose. That's what keeps your metabolic engine running while everything else in your body shuts down for the night. One food. One habit. Ancient, proven, and sitting in your fridge right now. 2. Cottage cheese. The bedtime metabolic anchor. If Greek yogurt is the slow drip, cottage cheese is the concentrated dose. Same protein family. Same casein mechanism. Just more of it, packed tighter, working harder. Cottage cheese is one of the richest whole food sources of casein you can buy. Not a supplement. not a powder. A food that's been sitting in grocery stores for decades, overlooked, while people spend real money on protein products that do less. Here's what the research actually shows. Consume around 30 grams of protein from cottage cheese, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and your resting metabolic rate improves the next morning. Not eventually, the next morning. Your body wakes up burning more, and it doesn't stop at protein. Cottage cheese carries a meaningful dose of magnesium. Magnesium does two things that matter here. It relaxes muscle tissue, which matters for sleep quality itself. And it regulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the system controlling your stress response. Why does that matter for fat loss? Because cortisol, your primary stress hormone, is one of the most reliable drivers of stubborn visceral fat. The fat around your organs. The fat that won't move no matter how many crunches you do. Calm that axis at night and you're not just feeding muscle. You're quietly shutting off one of the strongest signals telling your body to hold on to belly fat. Now look at the math. Half a cup of cottage cheese delivers 12 to 14 grams of protein. For under 100 calories. That's one of the best protein to calorie ratios of anything you'll eat today. Not this week. Today. Keep it plain. Add cinnamon if you want flavor. Add a few berries if you need something sweet. But don't dress it up with sugar. Don't turn it into dessert. This food has one job, and it does that job better than almost anything else sitting in your refrigerator right now. One anchor. Before bed. Every night. That's the habit. 3. Tart Cherries. Nature's melatonin capsule. This is the one I told you about at the start. Of every fruit on this list, none does what tart cherries do. Montmorency tart cherries are one of the only natural food sources of melatonin itself. Not a precursor. Not a building block. The actual hormone sitting inside a piece of fruit. Roughly 24 micrograms of melatonin per gram. Delivered in a form your body already recognizes. No conversion needed. No extra steps. You eat it, your body uses it. And melatonin isn't just about falling asleep. It governs the entire circadian window your fat-burning system depends on. Get that window wrong and everything else on this list works less efficiently. Here's the clinical proof. Studies on tart cherry consumption show measurable reductions in the time it takes to fall asleep, along with increases in total sleep time. Not subjective. Measured. And more sleep, specifically more deep sleep, means more time inside the exact hormonal window where growth hormone drives fat mobilization. Skip that window, and you're leaving fat-burning potential on the table every single night. Tart cherries bring one more weapon. Anthocyanins. The same pigment compounds responsible for lowering oxidative stress and systemic inflammation throughout your entire body. Now here's the mistake almost everyone makes. Juice. Cherry juice is not the move. Whole tart cherries carry about 2.5 grams of fiber per cup. Real fiber. Real structure. Cherry juice strips that away and concentrates the sugar, spiking your insulin at the exact moment you're trying to keep it flat. Same fruit. Opposite effect. Depending on the form. So take the whole fruit. A small handful an hour or two before bed. That's it. That's the entire protocol. One of the simplest, most direct ways to hand your body the exact hormone it needs to run its overnight fat-burning system properly. Number 3. Small fruit. Enormous leverage. 4. Kiwi. The sleep efficiency fruit. Quietly, kiwi has become one of the most studied fruits in sleep research. Not almonds. Not chamomile. Kiwi. Here's the study that should get your attention. Participants ate 2 medium green kiwis, 1 hour before bed, every night for 4 weeks. The result? Significant improvements in sleep efficiency. Significant improvements in total sleep time. That's not a marginal finding. That's a piece of fruit functioning like a mild, food-based sleep aid. No pill. No prescription. Just a kiwi. Here's why it works. Serotonin. Kiwi is loaded with it. Roughly 6 micrograms per gram, more than almost any other fruit you'll find in a grocery store. And serotonin is the direct precursor your body converts into melatonin as night falls. Eat the fruit. Feed the pathway. Support the exact hormone governing your overnight fat oxidation window. But kiwi isn't a one-trick food. It carries vitamin C, folate, and fiber. The fiber keeps your blood sugar steady through the night. No spikes. No crashes waking you up at 3 a.m. hungry. And the vitamin C does something almost nobody talks about. It's an essential cofactor in the synthesis of carnitine. Carnitine is the molecule responsible for physically transporting long-chain fatty acids into your cell's mitochondria, where they're actually burned. Not stored. Burned. Here's the part that should worry you a little. Without enough carnitine, fat sits in storage. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are. It doesn't matter how motivated your hormones are. The transport system has to be working or none of it moves. 2 kiwis. 1 hour before bed. That's the entire protocol. Cheap. Simple. Backed by real sleep lab data, not influencer opinion. Number 4. And one of the most underrated fruits in your grocery store. 5. Turkey. The tryptophan classic, done right. You've heard this one before. Thanksgiving dinner. That heavy, sleepy feeling. Everyone blames the turkey. Folklore got the food right. It got the reason wrong. And that's exactly why most people still use turkey the wrong way. Turkey is rich in tryptophan, an amino acid your body converts step by step into serotonin, then into melatonin. Sounds simple. It isn't. Tryptophan has to compete. Other amino acids crowd the same doorway into your brain, the blood-brain barrier. And tryptophan usually loses that fight, unless something clears the path. That something is insulin. A small, modest insulin response triggered by a complex carbohydrate clears the competing amino acids out of the way. Only then does tryptophan get through. This is why turkey alone, eaten by itself, quietly underperforms. No carb. No insulin signal. No clear path. Tryptophan just sits there, stuck behind the door. Here's the fix. Pair it. A small serving of turkey with a complex carbohydrate, a slice of whole grain bread is enough. Creates exactly the insulin signal tryptophan needs. The door opens. The conversion begins. Serotonin, then melatonin, right on schedule for deep, restorative sleep. There's a second benefit most people never hear about. Turkey has a notably high thermic effect of food. Your body burns more energy simply digesting it than it would digesting the same calories from carbs or fat. You're spending energy just to process the meal. So here's the protocol. Half a turkey sandwich. Whole grain bread. Eaten an hour or so before bed. Not the myth version everyone's grandmother told them. The mechanism that actually works, used correctly, for the first time. Number 5. The classic, finally done right. Pause for a second. Look at what you've just learned. 5 foods. 2 jobs. Every single one either feeds your muscle overnight, or fuels the hormones that put you to sleep and keep you burning fat while you're out. That's the pattern. That's the whole system. Not eating less. Eating in the language your body already speaks after dark. Do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. It's not for me. It's for the algorithm. It helps this reach people who are actually looking for real, science-backed answers instead of another fad diet with a countdown timer. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit the bell too. 5 more foods left. The next one might be the most surprising food on this entire list. Let's keep going. 6. Salmon and fatty fish. The inflammation extinguisher. Visceral fat isn't passive. It doesn't just sit there waiting. It's active. It produces inflammatory signals of its own, and those signals make fat loss harder the longer that fat sticks around. That's the trap. The more you have, the harder it gets to lose. A cycle that feeds itself. And most diets never even address it. Fatty fish breaks that cycle directly. Salmon and mackerel are dense with long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. Not the diluted plant-based omega-3s. The real, bioactive form your body uses immediately. Here's what those omega-3s actually do. They improve insulin sensitivity. And they reduce the chronic, low-grade inflammation quietly driving fat storage around your organs. Not fat you can pinch. Fat wrapped around the organs themselves, doing the most metabolic damage. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition backs this up directly. People who regularly consumed omega-3 fatty acids showed significant reductions in abdominal fat, compared to people consuming trans fats. Not a small gap. A meaningful, measurable difference. Salmon carries a second advantage. Vitamin D. And here's the connection most people miss. Vitamin D is inversely linked to visceral fat accumulation. More sufficient you are, less visceral fat tends to accumulate. Less sufficient, more risk. There's a third layer quieter than the first two. A modest amount of tryptophan. The same amino acid we covered with turkey. Reinforcing the exact sleep hormone architecture every food on this list is built around. 3 mechanisms. 1 food. Here's the protocol. A palm-sized serving a few times a week. Prepared simply, olive oil, herbs, nothing complicated. No breading, no frying, nothing that cancels out what you're eating it for. One of the most efficient anti-inflammatory moves sitting in any grocery store. Not a supplement aisle. The seafood counter. Number 6. Quietly one of the most powerful foods on this entire list. 7. Eggs. The cheapest tool on this entire list. Here it is. The one I told you about at the start. A single egg costs a fraction of $1. Less than a candy bar. Less than a coffee. And it delivers one of the most complete nutrient packages in the entire food supply. All 9 essential amino acids. In a form your body absorbs almost perfectly. Not close to complete. Complete. Eggs carry choline, a nutrient essential to lipid metabolism, meaning your body's ability to move and process fat depends on having enough of it. No choline, no efficient fat transport. Is that direct? They're also a genuine source of vitamin D, the same nutrient we just covered with salmon, linked to lower visceral fat levels. 2 different foods. Same protective mechanism working in parallel. And eggs contain tryptophan, quietly feeding the same melatonin pathway every single food on this list is built around. Cottage cheese, turkey, salmon, now eggs. The pattern doesn't break. Here's the number that makes this one absurd. Roughly 78 calories per large egg. 78 calories for that entire nutritional package. The caloric cost is almost nothing next to the return. So here's the move. An egg wrap. Spinach, peppers, nothing complicated. A complete, low-calorie evening option that supports sleep, lipid metabolism, and satiety, all at once. 3 jobs, 1 wrap. It's the Swiss Army knife of this entire list. And it costs less than almost anything else you'll put in your body today. Number 7. The cheapest food here. Doing some of the heaviest work. Oatmeal. The overnight blood sugar stabilizer. Everyone thinks of oats as a breakfast food. That's exactly why this one catches people off guard. Oats contain beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that thickens inside your digestive tract, slowing the absorption of glucose. That slowdown triggers the release of satiety hormones, PYY and GLP-1. The same hormones that tell your brain, you're full, stop eating. There's more hiding in that bowl than fiber. Oats carry small amounts of natural melatonin and magnesium, quietly reinforcing the exact hormonal environment every food on this list has been building toward. Here's the part most people get wrong. A small bowl of savory oats at night, think oats with a soft egg, or a splash of chicken broth, not sugar and fruit, can prevent the blood sugar crash that triggers cortisol release and sudden midnight hunger, the exact scenario that derails most people's fat loss efforts after 10 p.m. One bad crash, one raided fridge, and the whole day's progress is gone. Studies comparing beta-glucan to other fiber types found it particularly effective, reducing both body weight and fat mass. Not marginally, measurably, but the key is this: keep it savory. Keep it unsweetened. This is not your morning bowl loaded with brown sugar and dried fruit. That version works against you at night. This is a different tool used differently for a completely different metabolic job. Number 8. The most overlooked food on this entire list, because everyone's using it at the wrong time of day. 9. Berries. The fat cell blockers. Blueberries. Strawberries. Raspberries. Ordinary fruit, sitting in the produce aisle. But they do something almost no other fruit on this list can claim. It comes down to anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for that deep, saturated color. Research shows they downregulate a gene called PPAR gamma, one of the primary genetic switches responsible for creating new fat cells. Fewer new fat cells forming. Less long-term capacity for storage. Not burning existing fat directly. Blocking the factory that makes more of it. Here's the mechanism that's even more striking. Berry extracts have been shown to give ordinary white fat cells some of the thermogenic properties of brown fat. Meaning the fat you already carry becomes slightly better at burning energy as heat, instead of just sitting there, storing it. Your fat cells working a little more like the fat cells of someone who's never struggled with this. And the population level data backs it up. Higher anthocyanin intake correlates consistently with lower central fat, lower belly fat, and slower weight gain over time. Not a lab curiosity. A pattern that holds up in real people over real years. Here's the protocol. A cup of mixed berries in the evening. Plain or with a spoon of Greek yogurt. Almost no caloric cost. And here's the bonus nobody talks about. It satisfies the exact sweet craving that derails most late-night eating decisions. Except this time, the craving is working in your favor instead of sabotaging you. Number 9. Small fruit. Blocking fat at the source before it's ever stored. 10. Chia seeds. The overnight fiber gel. 2 tablespoons. That's all it takes to deliver 10 grams of fiber. Almost entirely soluble. And that matters because soluble fiber does something the other kind can't. Chia seeds absorb liquid and expand. Physically. Into a gel that slows digestion and extends the feeling of fullness for hours. Not a metaphor. A mechanical, physical process happening inside your stomach while you sleep. There's a second layer working alongside it. Chia is one of the richest plant-based sources of ALA, a form of omega-3 fat. The same anti-inflammatory, metabolism-friendly territory we covered with salmon earlier. 2 very different foods. Same protective effect, compounding. Here's the clinical number. Around 30 grams of chia daily, as part of an otherwise unchanged, calorie-controlled diet, produced a significant reduction in waist circumference over time. No other changes. Just chia, added in. The easiest way to use this, chia pudding. Unsweetened almond or coconut milk, mixed the night before, left to gel in the fridge. It becomes your evening snack and part of the biochemical machinery working overnight in your favor while you sleep. Number 10. The smallest food on this entire list. Doing some of the heaviest lifting of all 10. If you made it this far, you didn't just watch a video. You just received a complete, science-backed framework for turning sleep itself into part of your fat loss strategy. Not a pause from progress. Part of it. Let me leave you with the architecture. Feed the muscle repair engine. Greek yogurt. Cottage cheese. Eggs. Trigger your sleep hormones directly. Tart cherries. Kiwi. Turkey. Cool the inflammation-blocking fat loss. Salmon. Berries. Lock in steady blood sugar overnight. Oatmeal. Chia seeds. 10 foods. For jobs. 1 system. This is not a diet. It's a nightly protocol. And it's available to anyone, starting tonight. No pills. No powders. No subscription required. Smash that like button. Right now. If this changed the way you think about what happens while you sleep, that button is how you tell me. Drop a comment below. Tell me which food on this list surprised you the most. Team Tart Cherries. Team Salmon. Team Chia Seeds. I read every single comment. Every one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, Click subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss the next one. Because the most powerful fat-burning tool you own isn't a supplement. It's the 8 hours you spend unconscious every single night,